Hey everybody, I just want to kickstart this video by saying that I personally am not one to really believe in coincidences, okay? I think everything has a deeper meaning behind it. Everything happens for a reason. And I want to transition that into telling you guys about a time that I felt super connected to nature and my higher power. It was back in 2016. I was on a youth group trip in North Georgia to Sharp Top Cove. This was in 2016. And it was one night after worship. We were dismissed to go outside. It could be, you could go alone, you could bring a friend with you, just go outside, touch some grass, lay down, sit down, whatever you stand up, doesn't matter, but just take a minute for yourself. You don't have to say anything. You could pray, you could do whatever you want. Just take a minute to yourself or with someone else. So my best friend, Adrian, and I went outside, laid down, and we're looking up at the stars. And this has been my childhood best friend. We're still just close to this day. And we talked about everything, still do. We can't talk about everything. We're very close, but it was like religion wasn't really something we talked about much. And we both had so many questions that we're just able in that moment to ask each other and just be super vulnerable and talk about that we never had before. So it was super special. And one thing that came up in the midst of all that, and it was like one of those things too that neither one of us were expecting the other one to have any answers. We were just like, I feel this way, I have this question, I don't know if it could ever be answered, but I want to learn more, you know, just the whole thing. So in the midst of this conversation, we also mentioned to each other that neither one of us had ever seen a shooting star. Well, it was about less than a minute later, not one but two shooting stars flew across the sky, and we both looked at each other and just started sobbing. It was just like one of those overwhelming waves of peace over both of us. I mean, we were just sitting there in tears for a minute, just like, wow, it's one of those wow moments. And I think about the story from time to time, and I've told it to like my mom and just random people if it comes up in conversation, but it's not something I think about all the time. But making this speech has also kind of connected the dots back to that time and how I can continue to practice these things like in my day-to-day life, and how I have not done these things that I've talked about and that I want to do, and just go outside and experience new things. And I know like religion might be taboo to talk about at times, but I think it's super important, religion or not. If you're not religious, that's totally okay too. But for me, it's something that I want to practice, and I want to not let everyday life get in the way of that. And so, like I said, making this speech and thinking about the story that happened years ago brought me back to that moment, and something that I want to do and work on in my life is to ask those uncomfortable questions and learn more and experience things. So I appreciate you guys for listening.